What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. I'm your host, as always, Eviletti. And tonight it is going down for the UFC with an amazing free card. Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee. Also on this card, we got David Brandt versus Santos, Aljamain Sterling, Jim Miller versus Hooker, LaFleur Garcia. I mean, this card is all you can ask for when it comes to, free networks. So FS1 putting on a great card here for everybody, but I'm not going to be able to watch the entire thing, so I'm going to give you guys my quick breakdown because I'm so upset. I'm going to be missing this one. It really hurts me, but I'm going to be at Lion Fight 42 going down at Foxwoods Casino tonight. It's going down Saturday the 21st, in case you're watching this at a later date, a later point. But if you want all the updates for that, all you got to do is follow me on Twitter or at mymmanews.com. Guys, let's take a look at this card. I'm so jealous, first off, that you guys are going to be able to sit back, watch this card, and quick update as well for the Pure Evil MMA army out there. Here is the UFC Pick'em updated overall rankings. Now, you got to remember that this can change tonight, so make sure you guys get your predictions in at UFC Pick'em if you're part of the Pure Evil MMA giveaway league. Here it is. We got Iceman in first, Shipper in second, BLT in third, Minion in fourth, True Q in fifth, Andrews in sixth, Chillzone in seventh, Salem 96 in eighth, and in ninth, The Perpetrator in 10th. We got Pat, who just breaks on our top 10 list. Now, if you want any more information about this and you're not a part of it and you want to get down, you want to be part of this giveaway, all you got to do is message me on Twitter, evil_echo. Now, let's jump into this preview. Let's take a look at this card. All right, guys. So it's going to be starting, luckily, a little later than normal. My freaking Instagram on here is going crazy. But guys, also, if you want to jump on flowcombat.com tonight and watch Antonina Shevchenko, go in there, Valentina Shevchenko's older sister. She's going to be defending her title tonight. Also, Steve Walker, who you got to hear on Pure Evil MMA. Eddie Abasolo. I mean, another one, Amin Belafric, who had a little scuffle yesterday at the weigh-ins. It's going to be pretty fun. All right, so let's take a quick look at this card. I'm going to tell you what, my Instagram is driving me absolutely crazy right now. But let's take a look at this card. You got Edson Barboza versus Kevin Lee, the Motown Phenom. Now, Kevin Lee had all the hype behind him recently. Remember, he was going into that fight against Tony Ferguson, and he had all the world going for him. All he had to do was get past this fight. He most likely had Conor McGregor right there, and I'm pretty sure if he won, Conor McGregor would have taken that fight, defended his title. That's not the storyline that worked out, unfortunately. So here we are. Kevin Lee gets his second chance, but the shame here is, with a win over Edson Barboza, is it going to be able enough to get him back to where he was? Probably not. He's probably going to need another win after this. But let's focus on Edson Barboza first, because that's a very tough challenge for anybody out there. Now, let's take a look at Edson Barboza, because he's also coming off a loss of his own not too long ago. He's coming off that loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov. And that was just, I mean, after watching that, like, you wouldn't think that's Edson Barboza that was in there with Khabib that night. It was a straight-up mauling, and that lined Khabib up perfectly for what just unraveled a week ago. Unfortunately, it didn't go down between him and Kevin Ferguson, or Tony Ferguson. Kevin Ferguson was that an actor? Didn't go down between Khabib and Tony Ferguson. Storyline never works out. The MMA gods aren't good. So here's both guys, kind of redemption here. They both have a chance to get their way back at the top of that division. Not that if they lose, they're going to drop or anything. But both these guys need a win because they're both coming off a single loss. And before that, Edson Barboza had a 3-fight win streak before that. Beating Showtime Pettis, beating Gilbert Melendez, beating Beneil Dariush with that crazy flying knee. And then it all came down to that last fight against Khabib. And for Kevin Lee, he just gets the loss to Tony Ferguson with that crazy triangle choke. Now, another thing that I see on a lot of people that are worried about out there is the staph infection with Kevin Lee. I don't think he still has it. I'm not 100% updated on that because I've been trying to cover Lion Fight 42, which is going to be going on at flowcombat.com. Get all your updates at mymmanews.com. So I do not have the information there, but at this time, I'm sure it's a lot better than what it was that night. And if the UFC was aware of how bad that staph infection was in Kevin Lee's last fight, they probably wouldn't have let him fight. And Joe Rogan just blasted it all over the commentary. So for this fight, I don't know where I really stand, man. I mean, I really want Kevin Lee to win. I didn't really understand everyone's hype, behind him. But then again, let's look at the wins that he's had in there. I mean, beating Jake Matthews, beating Magomed Mazdafev, Francisco Trinaldo, which to me is the most impressive win, and then Michael Chiesa 9 months ago. But the biggest one to me really was the Francisco Trinaldo, because before that fight, Trinaldo was going in there on like a 9-fight win streak, just demolished everyone that got into his way. Paul Felder was not able to continue in their fight either because he got slashed up with so many brutal elbows that the ref was just like, Doc, you need to take a look at this. So this is very interesting. This is a very interesting fight, and I'm very iffy about both guys. But to be honest, I'm rooting for Kevin Lee. That's where my heart is at. And I think that's where, if I had to put 5 on it, I think I would put it on Kevin Lee. But Edson Barboza, man, between his kicking, between, just how fast he is. I mean, he's also a little bit taller, which, if you look back at the olden days, like the early UFC days when there were no weight class and stuff, I mean, it doesn't really matter. We've seen, Big Nog beat giants. So 2 inches isn't really much of a factor. But Kevin Lee, man, the energy that he has, the strength that he has, the wrestling skills that he has, I think he'll be able to get this win. Now, I don't think it's going to go all 5 rounds, though. That's another thing that is up in the air here. Kevin Lee, what is he going to look like in a 5-round title fight? We've never really seen him in any deep water, and anytime that he was, the fight was finished. So is Edson Barboza going to be able to kick it up into 5th gear or 4th gear in the 4th and 5th round and pick apart Kevin Lee? I'm going with Kevin Lee. Submission, round 3. That's my official pick. The betting odds right now, negative 145, so slight favorite for Kevin Lee, and a plus 125 slight underdog for Edson Barboza. Now, looking a little bit further down, 52% of the fans out there, this is really close. 52% of the fans out there are going with Barboza, 48% are going with Lee. And a lot of you guys think Barboza is going to get the TKO finish, and I would love to see a finish in the main event. Like I always say, it's usually a shame. Like, we usually rate the cards after each event on the post-fight show, which, quick reminder, guys, I won't be doing the post-show tonight. You're going to have to wait for that tomorrow. I'm going to have to DVR the fights tonight and get back to you with that. I am going to be doing a Lion Fight 42 recap tonight, but for this one, don't count on that happening tonight. But I do have some exciting things lined up for everybody tonight. So in the co-main event, let me finish my thought right there. Usually, if you have the main event and the co-main event finished in decisions, usually a lot of people aren't too thrilled about it, and usually don't really talk too much about the card or really give it too much credit. So I hope that there are finishes in the main and co-main event, which reminds us, the co-main event, we got Frankie Edgar going up against, why isn't it on there? Cub Swanson. Now, this is a really fun fight because Frankie Edgar, a quick turnaround for him. A lot of people worried about, what is this too quick coming back from a loss that you had just 1 month ago, just 4 weeks ago to Brian Ortega. I mean, pretty brutal. I mean, Frankie's never been finished before that point. Also, Cub Swanson coming off a loss 4 months ago to the same person, Brian Ortega, via submission. This is an exciting one, a fight that I wasn't really too interested in seeing. I wasn't pushing to get them to match this fight up by any means. 2 older guys. I remember watching Cub Swanson in the WEC days. One that really sticks out to me, unfortunately, was the Aldo fight. But other than that, Cub Swanson it's just so fun to watch, putting on some of the best fights that you're ever going to see in this featherweight division. And when you have somebody like Frankie Edgar in there dancing with him, it's almost a guarantee, even if it does go the distance, that you're going to at least see some awesome action going down tonight. A lot of roller coasters up and down with Frankie Edgar. He might be on the bottom, and then the later rounds come back, finish it out in classic Frankie Edgar fashion. However, my heart is with Frankie. My mind is also with Frankie. My heart's with Cub. But my mind's not with Cub there tonight. I think Frankie's got more to work for here. He's got more risk. If he loses 2 fights in a row, it's going to be a big stub in the toe, because this is a guy who took a fight on short notice when he was right there for the title shot. He was right there for Max Holloway 2 weeks ago, and he stepped up and paid the ultimate price a month ago when Max Holloway got injured Brian Ortega steps up, you pay the ultimate price for that. So you can only wish that Frankie Edgar pulls something out of his hat tonight. But at the same time, I don't want to see either of these guys lose. I love both Cub and Frankie Edgar. So this is a very tough one for all the diehard fans out there. Let's take a look at some of the odds for this one. That's going to be interesting. So we got at a plus 190 for a slight underdog, Cub Swanson, and a negative 230 moderate favorite for Frankie Edgar. Now, out of Frankie Edgar's last 5 fights, he's won 3, lost 2. Those 2 losses, of course, being from Brian Ortega, and the one before that coming from Jose Aldo at, I believe, what was that, UFC 200. But after that Jose Aldo fight, he looked amazing going in there against Jeremy Stevens, going to the distance, and then he just completely squashed Yair Rodriguez, which is another factor. And when he took the fight with Brian Ortega, I was like, Frankie Edgar is the guy to take a fight with a prospect that wants to test themselves in the water to see what it's like to get in there against somebody that's championship material. And Brian Ortega showed everyone that he has what it takes. Now, both these guys, Cub Swanson and Frankie Edgar, are floating at the top of this division, but very quickly, either of these guys can drop to the the bottom 10 of this division, because there's a lot of hungry guys coming up in this weight division. Remind me, Yair Rodriguez, where's he been? We haven't seen Yair in a hot minute. Sorry, guys. If you're listening to the podcast, I had to take a quick swig of the old Gatorade. But if I'm going for my predictions here, let's see what I put on. So you got to remember, they're only going 3 rounds here, and Frankie can go 5 easily. So three rounder, you're probably going to see Frankie usually as normal, bouncing around on his feet. But Cub Swanson, man, a lot of people don't give him the credit that he deserves with the power. So you got pillow fist, but man, we've seen him display recently that his striking is a little bit more crisp. That he is getting a little older, but at the same time, his technique is still right there. That's why he's still at the top of this division. This is going to be a fun one to watch. This is a high-level MMA fight. So I'd really hope if there's any new fans tuning in tonight to watch this, this is a fight that will definitely catch their eye. And another thing I like seeing the UFC do, and I wish they would do more of, is promote some of these guys' older fights and hype up their story. These guys are legends. Cub Swanson, Frankie Edgar. For the people out there that have no idea who they are, fill them in. Even if we've heard it 1,000 times, there's people out there who haven't. And I remember the first time I watched Frankie Edgar fight, man, I did not think this dude was going to be able to go in there and get the job done. But for a little scrappy guy from the East Coast, man, he really puts on, represents, and has put on an amazing performance his entire career being in the UFC. Nothing but respect. You don't hear anyone say a bad word about Frankie Edgar ever. I can't think of a single person that would ever say anything bad about Frankie or Cub Swanson. So let's take a look here. What people on Tapology are saying here. 79% of people are going with Frankie Edgar. 21% with Cub Swanson. But a lot of people agree. Most likely will be going the distance. All right, so let me fly through the rest of these. We got Justin Willis versus Chase Sherman. I'm happy to see the Vanilla Gorilla back at it again. I mean, he's also coming off a loss. He has a tough competition in front of him with Justin Willis. But Justin Willis, man, I mean, he's got 2 fights in the UFC, coming over from World Series of Fighting. He only has 1 loss, and he's on a crazy win streak right now. A lot of people out there are picking Willis to win. As a matter of fact, 87% people on Tapology are going with Willis. And a shocking moderate underdog, Chase Sherman. Wow, at a plus 290. Justin Willis at a negative 350. Let's take a look at Justin Willis' last 2 fights. He beat Alan Crowder via TKO punches 4 months ago. The fight before that, he beat James Mulhern via decision. Before that, World Series of Fighting, he got a finish. Decision before that, KO. So it looks like we got a pattern here. KO, decision, KO, decision, KO. So this one most likely be going to decision. I picked Chase Sherman on this. 13%. Unless there's something that people know that I don't. Like Chase Sherman's going to show up with staph infection or something crazy. I don't know. We'll find out. I got Chase Sherman, TKO, first round. All right, underneath that, we got David Ranch going up against Thiago Santos. This is another fight with guys we're very familiar with and have some great backstories to them. I mean, I've seen David Branch fight in person. Not the most exciting fight where I saw World Series of Fighting on New Year's Eve. But he went there, he got the win. He was on a crazy win streak until that last loss against Luke Rockhold, where he was winning in that first round. Let's not forget. Diego Santos is coming into this fight as the moderate favorite at -220 on a 4-fight winning streak. His last win being to Anthony Lionheart Smith via body kick and punches 2 months ago. Before that, Jack Hermanson TKO. Before that, Jerome Marchart KO. And before that, Jack Martian KO. David Branch has his desk full. But, he changed over with our boy Henzo. So, this should be a good scrap. First round, I wouldn't be surprised if it's more of a feel out. But I think Santos can get the finish by the third. Or Branch is going to take this decision with his wrestling skills. 70% of you guys on Tapology are going with Santos. 30% of you guys for Branch. And a good percent of you guys with Santos think it's going to go to the get a finish. So underneath that, we got Brett Jones versus Aljamain Sterling. Now, I feel so bad for Aljamain, man. In his last 5 fights, man, he's lost 3, won 2. His lone 2 fights being Augusto Mendez, where he won in decision. Fight after that, he beat Henry Brown in decision. But then, 4 months ago, he lost to Marlon Morales. Now, that's a tough fight. If you know who Marlon is, you know that was going to be a tough fight no matter what. And the way that he went out was awesome. And he even plays respect and has some sense of a humor that he dabbed on the way out there. Another fighter, man, where it's definitely person who could be going in there get that 50K bonus tonight because he puts on exciting performances. Aljamain Sterling, man, fingers are crossed for this one. Right off the bat, I might be biased here, but I went with Aljamain Sterling, TKO, round 2. Underneath that, we have Jim Miller versus Dan Hooker. I've interviewed Dan Hooker, fighting from down under, man. He's a great guy. But Jim Miller, he knows how to get in there and grind guys and make them work. And he looks just as fresh as he does in the first as he does in the third, which is why I'm taking Miller to win via decision. I'll tell you guys the truth, I got a lot of fights going to decision on this card. Underneath that, we got LaFleur versus Garcia. I'm going with Garcia via decision. Underneath that, DeVille Chivley versus Simon. I got Chivley via KO. Now, you guys might be a little confused. Let me give you a quick rundown on some of his fights. A quick record here, so you have something to work with. So in this fight with Ricky Simon, let's take a look what the odds are. Ricky Simon coming to this fight, man, 12-1. Betting odds, though, slight favorite at -170 for Ricky Simon. But Merab Davlishvili at a +150. 7-3 record, but is coming off a loss to Frankie Saenz, which is a very tough opponent. Fight before that, he won via spinning back fist. I mean, this is a guy that's going to go out there and put on a submission finishes. He goes out there and really puts on an exciting fight, and he's fighting from right out here in New York City. Let's see what you guys think. 72% of you guys on Tapology with Simon, 28% with Davlishvili. Now, I'm going with Davlishvili. We'll see what happens. I'm going KO round 2. Underneath that, I mean, these names just get harder and harder. We got Andrade versus Chagas. Juan Chagas, which you guys are all familiar with. His last fight, he won against Jim Wallhead via rear naked choke. And before that, lost to Eric Silva. His opponent, CR Maga the Great, is on a 2-fight winning streak. He has a win over Rob Wilkinson via TKO and Brandon Thatch via submission. Not a big name for himself, but at the same time, a win over Chagas would be huge for him. And the betting odds are near even here. -110, -110 the entire way through. But 75% of you guys are going with Bahadruzada over Chagas. Underneath that, guys, we got Patrick Cummins versus our boy Corey Anderson. Right off the bat, Corey Anderson, man, via decision. This is going to be a fun fight, and it's the second fight of the night. So, fight that was pulled on this was Leslie Smith. There's a lot of drama that went into that. Aspen Lab, we're going to talk about that in just a second. And then in the very first fight, or the last fight here, we got Keita Nakamura versus Tony Martin. Now, Tony Martin, the moderate favorite at -230. Slight underdog at a +190 for Nakamura. Let's see what you guys on Tapology are going for. 74% with Martin, 26% with Nakamura. I'm going with I'm actually going with Martin KO round one. Now let's talk a little bit about Leslie Smith. Let me close this out. And then I got to head up to the casino. Let's talk a little about Leslie Smith. This is something, just a quick update. Leslie Smith was supposed to be on this card. She was supposed to be fighting Aspen Ladd. Now, she had one more fight left on her contract before renegotiation, or the UFC was going to let her go. Now, her opponent didn't make weight. Leslie Smith showed up. She made weight. She did her job. She was the professional. She's very good when it comes to stuff like that. She's always stepping up for the UFC. Look at what she did in the Cyborg fight. She just wants to go in there, put on exciting fights, and she just wants things to be fair. She's one of the best female fighters out there, training with the Diaz brothers. She has Project Spearhead going for her, fighting for the rights for fighters. And I feel like a lot of people think the UFC did her dirty. Now, she has a shaky record. She's usually hot and cold. But when you find out Leslie Smith's on a card, you got intrigued for the most part if you're a diehard fan. Especially this fight, Aspen Ladd versus Leslie Smith. I saw a lot of people out there that were very excited to see this fight. And it's a shame because Leslie Smith didn't do anything wrong here. She went on Luke Thomas's show to talk about it if you guys want to check out the full interview. Just my take on it. It just seemed dirty because I feel like it wasn't her fault. They should have given her another fight. But the way that the UFC looked at it was, well, she doesn't want to take this fight. Fine. We're going to pay her, and it's going to count as her final fight on her contract, and we're going to release her. And this all happened so quick. By the end of yesterday, she was off the UFC. And it's hard to see because for anyone out there that wants to speak up for fighters' rights or speak up against the UFC, it's only a matter of time before we usually see him get the boot. And a lot of people said they saw this coming. Leslie will even say it herself, and it just seems dirty that the UFC did that, especially since it's not like she missed weight. Aspen Ladd missed weight. Let me know what you guys think about this. MMA Pixels checking in. Thanks for checking in. Hope you guys enjoy the fights. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, evil_echo. I'm heading up to Lion Fight 42 in just seconds here. So enjoy the night. If you want to check out Lion Fight 42 at flowcombat.com, do it because Antonina Shevchenko is fighting tonight defending her title. And then after that, if she wins, she'll have some great momentum going into Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. So we can only cross our fingers and hope that this actually does work out because we see at least 70% of the time things not working out when the momentum starts building, the pressure starts settling in, and the time to shine is right now for Antonina Shevchenko. Also, a lot of pressure for Frankie Edgar and Cub Swanson tonight. Edson Barboza, Kevin Lee going in there trying to prove that he is a title contender. Edson Barboza going in there trying to prove that he is not washed up. He is not what you guys saw in the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight where he was just torn apart. There's a lot to look forward to tonight. So let me know what you guys think. We will be doing the recap show probably Sunday night. But make sure you guys subscribe here on YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic, MyMMAnews.com, where you can find all the pure evil MMA content. Tonight I will be speaking with Crystal. What the hell's her last name? Oh my God. Clausen. Crystal Clausen, who's going to be joining me right after Lion Fight 42 tonight, where she's going to be fighting in Paris for Lion Fight 44. Now, anyone that's out in Paris will tell you right away, there's not much combat sports out there. Shout out to our boy Minion McGrunin, who actually came #1 in France for UFC Pick'em, and he's going to be competing right here with everyone else that listens to Pure Evil MMA that's in the UFC Pick'em League, guys. Good luck tonight. There's just so much to go on. So make sure you guys are following me on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA and also on Twitter. All the updates at MyMMAnews.com. Quick updates for the Pick'em Leagues. I'll be reposting the updated overall ranks tonight directly after Atlantic City card wraps up. Right now, currently Iceman in first place, second place Shipwreck, third BLT, fourth Minion, fifth True Q. Guys, good luck tonight if you are in the giveaway league. If you are new to the podcast, thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the fights tonight. God bless. White knuckles till the end. Behave yourselves.